Hello, my name is Jenny Linford. I'm a food writer, and I'm holding up my favourite book that I wrote, which is called The London Cookbook. The London Cookbook is a celebration of London's gastronomy, past and present. It's a mixture of recipes, as the title suggests, but it also has got history and food stories. Lots of people telling me their stories about their food experience in London, whether they be a butcher talking about their shop or someone telling me why they love that recipe. The thing I enjoyed most about writing the London Cookbook was the way I got to meet a lot of people. It's part of my job I always love anyway as a food writer. But for the London Cookbook, I was trying to find people who would give me recipes. I ended up following this amazing paper trail of friends of friends of friends who loved food. And we had lots of wonderful encounters. It was an amazing, hospitable experience. For about a year, my husband, my son and I, every weekend, instead of being at home, we were going around visiting people we didn't know, travelling all the way across London, north, south, east, west, turning up at people's houses. And we didn't have much time. We had to make a connection. We had to take a picture of them, a portrait, because everyone who gave me a recipe, we took a picture of them too and put it in the book, so nothing is anonymous. One that really stood out was meeting a man called Pilu, who was Gujarati, and I didn't know him. He was someone, a friend of mine, another food writer, had mentioned a friend of hers who bought her mangoes. I said, oh, just, perhaps he'd like to give me a recipe. We ended up invading his house on a Sunday, and he made his coriander chutney. He makes it on a sort of an industrial scale. He makes a huge food processor full of using bunches of coriander and green chilies and peanuts and spices and lemon juice. And it's all a balancing act. He found it quite hard to write a recipe because he would always taste it, so he gave me guidelines. And he makes it really, really lovingly. And he talked, he was a fantastic talker, really eloquent, really charismatic. And he had left Gujarat when he was 12, had come to England and missed the food of his childhood. And when he got older, had started cooking it, ringing up his mum for recipes, ringing up his aunt. And this was his mother's recipe. And he made this lovely, lovely chutney. And then the nice thing was then, of course, we got to eat it. It was one of the great things about the job. And we sat down and he made, very lovingly, made these cheese and tomato sandwiches of brown bread, which he spread with this chutney. And then he said, oh, this was my mother's favourite lunch, and she died a few years ago. And it was really poignant because you knew this food really meant a lot to him. Yeah, it's just a wonderful, I recommend that chutney, it's good. When I was researching the book, London Cookbook, I found out all sorts of things, and something I'd like to share with you is that if you want a taste of history, head down to Kew Gardens, where there's a lovely tea shop called Newman's Maids of Honour, right by Kew Gardens, in a little 1930s vintage tea shop. And they are selling this traditional London delicacy called Maids of Honour, which are little curd tarts, small and sweet and delicious, that were very popular in the 18th century. The sort of culinary legend is that they date back to Henry VIII, to Hampton Court Palace. There's no real evidence for that, but they definitely were made and sold in Richmond in the 18th century. And the family who sell them now, that is a sort of a recipe that they can trace it right back to the 18th century. And they're running this really charming, really modest, lovely little tea shop where they make them every day. And the recipe is secret. And John Newen said to me, it's a little bit of everything that's bad for you is in them. It is a lovely cookbook because I think what's nice about it is it's a celebrity-free zone. There are no famous people in it. It's about people. It's about ordinary people. People who love food, whether they're shopkeepers in London or market traders or just people who live here and but want to cook for their family, take the trouble to buy food, to buy ingredients, enjoy shopping for food in London. It was the huge community. They were the community that I was writing about and for. I feel anyone who loves London, anyone who loves food would enjoy the book. It's given as a gift a lot. So again, if you came to London, I think it would be a nice souvenir to take away with you.